Nolan's Odyssey is a gift that keeps giving. I mean, if Metatron, our Italian brother, can make a video almost every single day up until the film is actually released, I think I need to at least, and possibly longer, I think at least I need to at least try to match some of that energy, right? I mean, why not? So here's like the latest on the Odyssey. I wasn't gonna make another video, but I saw Metatron's video, and I was like, you know what? Good on him. Good on him. It's not just an Italian brother. It's not just, I mean, it doesn't matter where he's from. He is a student of history and a student of the truth, and that is what's important in all of this. But it was a great video, and I'm going to, I love seeing him go on rants and well, not exactly rants. I mean, when you see the Italian go on rants, it's a different thing. It's of a different nature. So I saw the video and I was like, okay, I gotta talk about this too. I mean, oh my God. Lupita Nyong'o came out and she had some words to exchange and say. It's the same narrative. They keep saying the same thing. Like they hope that as if it's going to change anything the more times they say something. Like they've lost the game at this point. They've lost, and they're trying tooth and nail with their old tactics, which is what they've always been trying to do. And what is that? Well, I'll tell you right away what it is. Basically, it's the more times you say something and the more you indoctrinate and you brainwash people, the more they start to believe that it's true. That's what they're trying to do. So they're trying to say the same thing again and again and again. And whoever doesn't know, they're hoping that there's a large portion of the majority out there of the human populace that, they don't know what's going on, and they just see titles and they just see quick quotes, and they're like, oh, okay, so this must be the case, because they're not bothered with going deeper. That's the whole point. That's why they indoctrinate, and that's why they keep going deeper and deeper into all these kind of repeated patterns of saying the same things over and over again. If you notice, they're saying the same things. They're not changing it. They just constantly, saying the exact same false accusations, throwing it towards people, calling us racists and whatnot, when they are the racists. So let's have a look at some of her comments, which, by the way, like Metatron, let me go check his video out actually. The latest video he made is called Lupita Nyong'o Responded and It's Bad. Yes, it is bad. It is very bad. That's the latest video that Metatron shared with us on this beautiful gift that keeps on giving, Nolans Odyssey. And as he says it there, she said she's not going to respond, but she did have a lot of things to say for someone that doesn't really respond, right? So let's look into that. First of all, a small shout out to Metatron, and a parenthesis. He said he's going to start calling us the Hellas, and Hellenese, which is a shock. Like nobody turns around and says that, and it's like it almost feels as if he saw my last two videos. I know he didn't. But it almost feels as if he saw my last two videos where I mentioned that. And then he also goes in to say something with regards to mythology, that even if it's not real, it's still not yours, which is one of the main driving points that I start with on my video, which you'll find on my channel, a Greek opinion on the Odyssey, just stop. So you can check that out if you want just the information on the Odyssey or my take on this whole situation. So let's have a look at some of her comments, and basically I'm going to reiterate that first point of that video, because it's a 30-minute long video, because there's a lot to say, but I'm going to focus on just that point, make smaller videos as well, and drive those points home again. And you know what, if you guys can keep saying the same bullshit over and over again, hoping that it sticks, we're going to do the same. Enough is enough. I said that on those previous videos. You keep pushing in a certain direction and you keep trying to indoctrinate people. Well, the only way that we can actually fight back is by repeating the same thing over and over again until people we just use your weapons against you. We are of the mind usually that when we say something thoroughly and we explain it, people grasp onto it and they understand something. But unfortunately, the large majority of the masses, they just take short phrases and sentences and repeated words, and that is how their brain works. Long, thorough conversations and deep dives is something that they're not capable of following. So I will try to make this short and focus on just one point. Let's go for it. Okay, so I'll get the quotes right here. Let's have a look at the first one. This is a mythological story, Nyong'o said. I'm very supportive of Chris' intention with it. Of course you are, you're getting paid for it, but also it drives the narrative of the history that you're trying to destroy, and the version of this story that he's telling. At least they're slowly admitting that this is a version. Our cast is representative of the world. Okay, the Odyssey is not representative of the world. It's representative of ancient Greece. I hope you know that. Let's keep going. The criticism will exist whether I engage with it or not. Of course it will exist, because you're doing something that is wrong. So we're going to criticize it. So, this is a mythological story. Let's go into that. Again, Metatron is going down the path of saying that it's based on actual historical. It's like what myths are, basically the Odyssey. It has some historical things that happened, and it also has some fictional parts to it. I'm going to go one step further and deeper into that to actually get you all people to understand how much deeper the symbolism goes. There was an earthquake, which this has been found on one of the cities of Troy. There was an earthquake that shattered one of the walls, and possibly one of the ways that the ancient Greeks or the ancient Hellenes went inside the walls of Troy. So basically this earthquake shattered those walls, and that's how they got in. Just so I can get you to understand that not only it's based on historical aspects and elements, but even the symbolical, mythological parts, they're still based on something. This isn't part of the Iliad, by the way, not the Odyssey, obviously. It's part of the war in the Iliad. Poseidon has the symbol of a horse. Poseidon is also said to be the bringer of earthquakes. Put two and two together. So symbolically, what the myth was saying is that the Greeks, they were given a gift, or they were handing over a gift, which was the Trojan horse, and the Trojans broke the walls down to get the horse inside. Horse, Poseidon brings earthquakes, and now we see in real life an earthquake broke the walls down. So it was their symbolical way of interpreting how those walls were broken down. Perhaps they perceived it as a gift from Poseidon, or perhaps it was just a way of symbolically expressing it, which is an extra layer that I wanted to add into this. So besides being based on historical events that happened, all the fictional parts, a lot of them are, characters and symbolisms and whatnot, but a lot of those symbolisms themselves are also, again, explaining and describing events or things that happened in a symbolical manner. So saying that it's a mythological story, it doesn't really say shit to us. But the second point that I'm going to go in is I'm going to reiterate and make it on a smaller video for all of those of you that are not, you can't follow a much larger video like the last one that I made, which is what Metatron ended up saying as well, that it doesn't matter if it's real or if it's not real. You don't go into the Lord of the Rings, which J.R.R. Tolkien wrote, and change the story up just because it's not real. It's a work of art, it's fiction or whatever it is, that has been actually written, and it belongs to someone, and it is written a specific and certain way. You can't interpret it or represent it however the hell you want. And if you do, try to be honest with your interpretation rather than trying to interject in there all your, kind of like your weird perspectives that might be contradicting the material that you're actually trying to convey here. And the next step that I will talk about, that I would say, is that even if you do that, you have to be prepared for the backlash, because people will come back to you and tell you, you know what, this is not the Lord of the Rings. Why are you effing with the Lord of the Rings? And they would have the right to do that. And you don't have the right to turn around and start calling them racists and Xists and disists and all the kind of ists that you can find, just because you can't handle a truth or opinion or criticism. They can't handle criticism. They want to ruin, destroy history and all the symbolisms and all of mythology and all of the Greek culture. At this point, it's that evident with all the things that we have seen. And Western culture and Western civilization, of course, and what is the birthplace of Western civilization? Of course, it's Greece. So that's like it's Hellas. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to constantly destroy the roots of it. They've gone that far to want to actually destroy the roots of all of it. So it's a mixture of not being able to handle that criticism, which is just criticism, and also trying to indoctrinate and lie about the works that they're actually basing their novels, their fiction, their books on, their stories, their films, whatever it is that they're basing their shit on. So even if it's a fictional story, you still don't have a right to screw around with it. And if you do, be prepared for people to backlash. They have a right to. And dismissing it and trying to create labels so you can actually put them under a blanket of isms and ists and all that stuff, just because you're trying to silence their voice, it's not going to work for you. Okay, it's been barely working for the last decade. All it's been doing is riling people up and getting them to reach the point where now it's not working, and we see through your bullshit and your lies. Okay, that's really what it's all about. So even if it was actually a fictional work of art, you have no right to change it. And much less so a work of art. Like this is just like for a simple book. You don't have a right to change it. It doesn't belong to you. okay? Much less a story like the Odyssey, which belongs to the Greek culture, to the Hellenic culture. It belongs to ancient Hellenic culture, and it has been around for over 2,000-3,000 years. This work of art, this poem, this symbolism, beside the fact that there's so much in it, there's so much symbolism and so many specific things that have actually been described and told and passed down through generations from that initial text and kept intact. There's so much there that is very specific, and breaking one part is like a chain, and it ruins the entire image of what what it was trying to actually convey in the first place. Besides that, it's also 3,000 years old, and it's part of a culture. It's a folklore. It's part of, like, it's like saying we're going to change Santa Claus and say that he was, you know, he was stealing gifts and presents, because we just want, that's exactly what you're doing. It's like you get Helen of Troy and what she was depicted as, and you're doing the exact opposite of it. Okay? On a visual level, well, we can do it on any kind of level. Why don't I just get Santa Claus, and then I'll make the new stories and start indoctrinating people that Santa Claus, he just comes to your house and he steals toys from kids. That's the Grinch. No, it's Santa Claus. You see what I'm saying? Especially for a story that's 3,000 years old. You don't have a right to do it. It's not part of your culture, it doesn't belong to you, so stop, as I've said before, with my culture. Stop effing with it. Another silly comment she made, I'm going to just rubble this a little bit. You can't perform beauty. Exactly. So you're not fit for the role. I'm not going to go into the rest of it. I want to know who a character is. Nobody gives a shit. Yeah, you can't perform beauty. So it's otherwise known as you can't polish a turd. And here's another fun. Nyong'o isn't the only Odyssey cast member receiving the backlash. Look at how they phrase all these things. I think it was Variety, by the way. Travis Scott and Elliot Page have also faced racist, transphobic remarks. They're not racist and they're not transphobic remarks. You know, if you're not Greek, get the fuck out. And if you can't find Greeks, find people that look like them. And if you can't find a male to play the role, then you just better not cast that as well. You can't find males. Okay, I don't want a female child girl in the skin of a male trying to perform a soldier. Okay, it's a dude dressed as a dude trying to play another dude. You know what I mean? It's like, no. Robert Downey Jr. got away with it because it was actually sarcastic comedy. This is the Odyssey. But Nyong'o says the cast's diversity is a strength. No, it's not. That's its weakness. We are coming to see ancient Greek mythology. I'm not coming to see what the world thinks of ancient Greek mythology. Let's just make them all included, which leads into the next stupid thing she says. Because it is so grand. Exactly, it's so grand, so you're trying to ruin it. It spans worlds. No, it doesn't. It spans only one world, the ancient Hellenic world. It spans time. There's the difference between spanning worlds and there's the difference between spanning time. It spans time, it doesn't span worlds. So that's why the cast is what it is. No, the cast is what it is because you're trying to indoctrinate and ruin history. We're occupying the epic narrative of our time. There is no epic narrative of our time. It's an epic narrative of that time, and you're not occupying that epic narrative at all because you're changing the story. I'm going to make another video, and I'm going to focus just on that part, by the way. So I'm going to make several videos, and I'm going to break up all these parts that I had in my initial video as well, and whatever else comes out. Because you know what? This is the gift that keeps giving. I'm loving these comments, and keep at it, Hollywood. You're giving us a reason to still make even more content around the Odyssey. The more you yap your mouths, the more we're going to keep coming back at it. So again, mythology, it doesn't have to be real in order for you to respect it. Like Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, any kind of fiction. Furthermore, it's not just fiction, it's actually rooted deeply in symbolism that represents specific events that happened. And third of all, it is based on events that happened as well. So it's like a huge spectrum there. Mythology, for those of you that don't know, is the way that the ancient Hellenes passed on history. I don't know if a lot of you know this, but what we call history is what the ancient Hellenes done with mythology. So whatever they're saying in their mythological myths, it's actual history. It's just that it's done through a method of symbolism, and that symbolism is what we're mostly focusing on and missing the point half the time, and thinking that it's not real because they're using symbolism to speak of these real events. No, these are real events. Helen of Troy did exist. There are findings of this and there are writings on this. So read up on it. And the mythologies themselves as well, they're much more real than you think. It's just that they're symbolic. Last of all, I don't want to see your grand epic narrative of our time. Nobody wants to see that. If we want to see that, we'll go watch a modern film. Oh, which is another thing that she said, which I'm trying to find the quote, but I don't know where it is. I probably didn't keep it. There we are. It was part of the I want to know who her character is, and I dismissed it because I already responded to it. But she said something else there as well. That's the thing about doing such a well-known text. Yeah, you don't change it. Which has been studied and interpreted. No, it's been studied and translated and derived from. No, you are interpreting and deriving from it. And you're not interpreting and deriving from it either, because if you're interpreting and you're deriving from it, you actually want to understand what the context is, what the text is trying to say, and interpret it the best to what it's actually saying. Like when I hear someone, okay, and they say, hey, I like the water that's, mild, and I'm like, oh, okay, so he doesn't like cold water. I interpret it as, like he doesn't like cold water and he doesn't like warm water. That's an interpretation. And I can come to you and say, he was the guy that didn't drink cold water, and that's part of the damn interpretation, but at least it's correct. And somebody else, and he can come and say, he doesn't like warm water. That's part of his interpretation. Now, if someone comes and says he doesn't drink water, he likes wine, that's not an interpretation. That is trying to change you're trying to read too much into it. You think that it's interpreting, and you're creating a derivative of it, which has nothing to do with the initial context. And that person that you might talk to, they don't be like, no, I drink water. I just don't, I like it mild. I like a mild, temperature on it. See what I'm saying? So there's a difference there, and we all know that you're doing an interpretation and a derivative of it. And that's why we're mad, because first of all, you've race swapped everything. You've ruined the entire story. I'm going to go into speaking about what the story is about in another video. You're ruining the symbolism. You're treating it as if it doesn't exist. It's fiction, so let's do whatever we want with it. That's your excuse that you're trying to constantly throw at people's faces in order to try and make your narrative stick, and it won't stick, because we're going to keep fighting back, and we're going to keep making these videos to keep reminding you that no, what you're saying is wrong. Such a well-known text, it's been studied, interpreted, yes, and interpreted and derived into something that it's not. The research could be endless, it doesn't have to be. It's been 3,000 years. This is a mythological story, exactly. Learn what mythology means and stop ruining the actual word and trying to make it sound as if mythology means that it's something that's fictional and doesn't exist, and you've gone to the point that you've made it even worse than fiction. Whereas it's fiction, history, mythology. That's where mythology sits. But you've actually made it worse than fiction with all these things that you've been saying, and you've been indoctrinating people to keep that stance and keep that belief for many, many years. I remember it from when I was in school as well, 30 years ago. That stupid notion constantly being hit and struck on people's heads, and only the people that really look into it and study know that this is wrong. And you're occupying the epic narrative of our time. We don't want to see an epic narrative of our time. We can watch the Adventures for that. We want to see the Odyssey. It's not your work. We have the right to backlash. I want to see the Odyssey. It's my heritage. It belongs to my people, and it belongs to world heritage as well. So every historian, every person around the world has a right to turn around and tell you, you done fucked up. Okay? Everybody has a right to do that. Just like we all have the right to say the same thing to someone that makes Lord of the Rings and they don't do it justice and they change the story. We have a right to tell them, you're changing the story. We don't like this. This is wrong. It's the exact same thing. So, keep going at it, Hollywood. You're really rallying us all together here behind the Odyssey, and this is great. This is awesome. I'm loving this. Let's just keep going. Let's see if I can make as many videos as Metatron. I doubt it. I mean, probably be several days before I actually see another topic that riles me up again and I make another video. But at least if I can, at least to a certain portion, try to match his level of videos, it will be pretty good. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'll see you on the next one, and till then, peace be with you.